So I can't tell which one was scarier, Palm as an ant or Palm when she was still a human being. Either way, the bitch was fucking crazy. So this episode finally dove into giving us everything that happened with Palm, where she is right now, and it just gave us everything we've been wondering regarding Palm, even though it still was kind of like, you know, straying away from the whole main fight with Netero and the King Meruem. I definitely gotta say that this episode, at the very least, is something that a lot of us been wanting, so I'd say it was slightly better than last week's episode, and it just gave us a lot of decent information regarding just what happened with Palm. We were wondering so freaking long. Now, one of the things I found kind of interesting in this episode was that the last time we seen the whole Palm and Gon relationship, for the most part, she was mainly, like, not really on Gon that much anymore. Because remember, Nob came in and, like, he was like, yeah, baby. So I thought that she had moved on, and I guess it makes sense that she did actually move on because she was mainly being controlled in this particular episode by, like, you know, having poof in her ear or whatever. So in a sense, you can argue that, like, oh, from the get-go, you kind of could have figured it out because she was already kind of, not completely overgone because she still had somewhat in there, but she was already on to Nob, and it was kind of like Palm X Nob, so it was a little fishy for her to just be crazily obsessed with Gon from the, you know, start of the episode. And now that I got to see her full design, yes, she does look like Frieza with that purple ball on her head. I was just like, hey, Frieza's bride, how's it going? And I think this whole episode was mainly also to show an experiment regarding what Poop was trying to figure out, whether soldiers are better with their memories or their emotions or without it. Because in this episode, pretty much he finds out what basically went wrong. And that was that Palm, even though they separated her memories from her emotions and her remembering them didn't necessarily mean that she was going to, you know, react to them, it still didn't matter because I guess it was kind of trying to push the whole thing of, you know, emotions are strong, you need to just completely remove them or whatever. And Poof, his whole thing with this particular episode, even though he was not really there all the time, for the most part it was like towards the end where we get to mainly see him, you definitely see that he has some very strong and I guess somewhat awkward feelings towards the king that I don't think the king feels at all for him. Like, because he's basically, I don't need Pito anymore, I don't even need Yuppie anymore, it's just me and the king, we're going to start a new kingdom. And it's like, one, the king doesn't feel that at all for this dude. Like, you're his royal guards that sit in that soul. Like, he has this grand delusion of some crazy shit that is never going to happen. The king is not going to go for that. Two, it's like, basically he thinks taking the emotions out and taking out all that is basically going to make perfect soldiers. But one of the things that make people strong and give them who they are, their identity, is their memories and emotions. So you take that out, they're not going to fight, they're not going to be as strong, they're not going to be as good. So I think right there, that's going to be one of Poop's biggest mistakes, is that he thinks just because Palm, like, you know, basically betrayed him in the end, or not betrayed him, but kind of broke out of that whole spell that she was under, that the best way to go is to completely get rid of emotion and stuff, and that's not the case, and he'll find out soon, I'm pretty sure, because it just seems like that's going to be a big mistake on his part. It was interesting how it started off with Killua crying, and at first it was kind of like, you know, him just playing it off to stall for time, and then ultimately he really broke down and realized, you know, he feels like his friend is going through this tough situation, and he broke down thinking, like, who can really help my friend? It was kind of showing a little more of the bond between the two of them and just how strong it really is that, you know, he's there breaking down crying like, you're the only one that can help him, please Palm, to try to snap him out of what he's going through right now. Because like every time we see Gon, it's just that stone face of, I don't give a fuck, nothing you can't tell me, I'm going to kill this bitch, she's going to do what I say, and that's it and that's all. So he, at the same time, you can see that he's suffering. This is the aftermath of seeing where his friend is going to, because Killua, as a character, he's always had a dark past, he's had a dark life, so him seeing what his friend is going through, this happy-go-lucky friend that kind of was his salvation from his darkness, going into the darkness, is kind of making him lose hope on himself. So that's why he's trying with everything to make sure that his friend doesn't completely go down that route, because Killua wants to escape from that life. He doesn't want to be this dark killing machine. And his friend is slipping into that. And it's like, if he goes down there, then there really is no hope. This happy-go-lucky kid is going down the same path I was, you know, all my life. And as a whole, this was a pretty good episode. I really like that it finally gave us some stuff regarding Palm, how pretty much she tried to commit suicide, which is kind of dark. This episode definitely had a lot of dark themes to it. She pretty much tried to commit suicide so that way she wouldn't get captured. And they still managed to get her anyway, because Pito and Poop are some monsters. So, good episode as a whole, giving us some progression. And I feel as though with the past couple episodes, we've been getting rid of a lot of the subplots, such as last episode we got the Cowgirl and Wolf and stuff, so Wolfen out the way. This week we got Palm stuff out the way, even though I felt this was slightly more interesting than last week's stuff, and a little bit more impactful as well, because again, it was kind of showing the relationship between Killua and Gon and how strong it is, and the misrelationship between Poof and the king, and how Poof thinks that he's going to have the king all to himself. Like, I wouldn't be surprised with this dude if he likes the king so much in this crazy way that he comes out cosplaying cosplaying as Kamugi. Like, you like me now? It's like, no. So overall, I'll give this one 7.5 out of 10. Good episode. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. It just seems like the Ant arc is reaching its climax. Like, we're getting rid of all the small time things, all the little questions that we had. They're slowly getting answered, and it's only a matter of time before we get the big buck, which is pretty much going to be that final fight with Netero and the King. Really want to quickly talk, though, about apparently on Twitter, one of the anime directors of Hunter x Hunter, one of the directors, pretty much tweeted that episode 135, I believe, is going to be the final episode of, I believe, at first it was unclear whether it's the final episode of the entire series or of the Ant arc, but then he kind of clarified a little bit that he was referring to, like, the Chimera Ant arc, so I'm guessing that we only have roughly, like, a good 10, 11 so more episodes of the Chimera Ant arc, so definitely we're reaching the climax real soon, and that's just really interesting to see that we don't have to wait that much more to get the final climax of this, and it's also a sad thing because if that's the case, then that means Hunter x Hunter won't make it out of 2014. The series will indeed end with this year. Let me know what you guys think. Were you shocked to see what happened to Palm? What do you think about her finally breaking through that barrier? With somebody with that much strong emotion, I think that's also going to be a miscalculation on Poop's part because he doesn't realize as a human how strong she was with her emotions. So her having these strong and unstable emotions helped her to break out of that, but not every person is like that. Not every person is as strong as Palm, and that's going to be his ultimate defeat. Also, what do you think regarding Killua's breakdown? Did you feel it? Did you get them feels when he was there sobbing, thinking about his friend, and how his friend is slipping into the darkness, and he needs anybody, Palm, anyone, to help him? And your overall thoughts of the episode. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for that Palm shit, because she overbroke some very strong stuff. It's like these ants were going after her, and it's like she overcame it, and that's pretty dope stuff. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.